Hello, I'm Doug Stenslick. I'm here in our Seattle shop of Cripple Creek Bike and Backcountry, and I'm here to talk about the new Blacklight touring boot by Dynafit. This boot is your all-purpose lightweight touring boot. It's good for volcanoes like we find here in the Pacific Northwest to your resort uphills in the morning and kind of everything in between. I've followed this development of this boot very closely. It's been long awaited. My history with the brand goes back to probably 2010 when I first got into the TLT 5. We saw it go 6, 7, 8, skip 9, go to 10. And this is the boot to take the TLT's place. Blacklight to go with their skis, their bindings. It's all like a consistent branding. The coolest part about this boot is that we finally get a Hoji Lock in their lightest weight touring model. Like everything up from a race boot is now going to have the Hoji Lock. I first used that back in the actual Hoji free boot that came out, and it was an amazing upgrade to what was a traditional walk to ski lever in almost every other boot in the market. And yeah, we're just really excited to dig in, talk about this, who it's right for. We're going to talk about the features, and then we'll get into the most important part of any ski boot, how it fits. The first feature of the Blacklight boot is going to be weight savings to talk about. The main weight savings come from the missing power strap that you can add back on later, and the lack of the plastic floating tongue. So that's where the savings come from, and it totals to about 150 grams. We're looking, this is my size that I ski, this is a 27. And that comes right in at 1,236 grams for the Blacklight versus last year's Ridge boot that comes in at 1,382 grams. First, the Hoji Lock system. One simple buckle, walk to ski, ski to walk. It does it both. It's attached to this power strap up top, and the easiest way to get in and out of this would be loosening just a little bit from there, and there's a cool system back here that releases the whole cuff for easy in and out. This also lets you kind of set the boot to the tightness that you're used to skiing. So if you like it right there, you know that's what articulates the lock mode. Then next time you're getting in and out of it, you can just have it, set it, forget it. It's always the tightness you want to ski. And of course, you can always dial in the fit right here. That's the cuff and the Hoji Lock. It's certainly the number one feature of why we like this boot. Typical touring, lightweight touring boots, especially if you go back to the TLT 10, which was the main predecessor of this boot, the TLT X, you tended to get a lot of cuff, we call it like cuff bulging. When you flex into the boot, this used to bulge out, and we see it on all the brands. It's really hard to make a lightweight boot that doesn't have some give, especially when you're used to trying it in the beginning. It will seem to be stiff enough for your ski touring needs, and then as the boot breaks in, that gets stiffer and stiffer. Let's take a look inside the boot to really get a better look at that Hoji Lock, and this will also give us a good idea of what liner's inside. Now, the inner workings of the Hoji, if you can see in there is a floating V that locks the cuff, so it works way more like an alpine boot. Right now, when it's in walk mode, that's hinging above itself, and then when you lock it down, it pulls the cuff down and completes it. So it's basically a fused cuff to the lower. Every other touring boot out there is going to have like a walk lever. All your stiffness is being derived from the walk lever and how it translates into the front of the boot. But the Hoji Lock is the one where the cuff and the lower will work the same. When we look at the liner, this is the new Dynafit liner. Yeah, it's a decent liner. It's heat moldable. It looks a lot better than things we've seen in the past. And we've been able to do a lot of little fit tricks to get this to work for feet like mine, very wide feet. And we'll talk more about fit at the end of it. That's a quick close-up on the liner. Also, in this boot, because we lost that center tongue from the ridge, it does have this tech gator that keeps ice and snow out. Makes it really easy to step in because there's not a lot of material in the front. We're looking at the Z BOA lower ratchet here, which will tighten up the whole lower of the boot. It even gets a little bit of tightness down by the, right over the top of the foot, and in a really lightweight package. All these are little T nuts that are done with a star bit, so you can kind of change them out, and if things break, always like to see that. Sometimes we see riveted on buckles that are really hard to replace and you have to drill out. The pivot function on this, it's a really well-placed pivot for a very natural stride. Also has very little restriction. And when it's open without the liner, and I can kind of demo it, it's listed at 70 degrees. I do think the Hoji Lock, that's as far back as it goes. So that might be a little bit overstated. I don't have something to measure that. But when you do take a really long stride, you can feel a catch right at the end, especially on flats. On steep, it has plenty of range forward, so you're not going to have to worry about that at all. The shell material is made from gorilla mid loaded with carbon, so it's plenty stiff enough. I actually found the flex to be a lot nicer on this boot than my previous ridge boots that I owned. To elaborate a little bit more on ski performance from the limited testing I got to do on this boot last spring, I first saw the boot in the early fall when I was over in Germany visiting the Dynafit headquarters, and I was so excited about it. By the time I got the sample to try, it was already late in the spring, so I only got out for like 2 or 3 tours on it. But I think it solves a problem that we've seen throughout the industry, which is a bit of an overcorrection in over stiffening boots. When I tried the Ridge Pro boot, it was like flexing into a stiff wall. The Hoji Lock just really supports you. And then when you add that plastic in the front, it was just a lot of boot to handle. I think a lot of people that are looking for the highest performing boot will probably still want to look at the Ridge. If you're a bigger guy, a hard charging lady, you might want a boot that you really flex into. But for most people, this really gave the support that you needed. And like I said, not feeling the boot bulge out when you flex into it gave it a way more realistic feel to alpine boots that I've used in the past. Really great boot for any ski touring that I pushed it to last spring. I'm excited to get on it more. But let's talk about fit, because again, I wouldn't recommend any boot if it isn't the right fit for you. So I'll do the best to describe it to people that can't stop into their local Cripple Creek Backcountry or other ski shop to try it on. Let's just talk about getting the boot on real quick again. I have it set to about where I'm going to ski it. So all that has to happen is you just got to pull that tab over. I'm in walk mode. And when I throw the Hoji Lock down, I'm now in ski mode. What we're really looking here is, as you see when I flex the boot to ski, very little bowing of the cuff. And that's what we want to really transfer that power into the lower. The one buckle throw is awesome. And then, the range of motion, like I said, as much range of motion as I can even flex forward. And it's really the back where I feel that catch of the Hoji Lock running into the lower. So I think on the longest, fastest flat approaches, you might feel a little bit. Or if you're trying to use it as a race boot, I would really recommend something that's more specific for race, like the DNA or Mezzalama from Dynafit, rather than trying to get this boot to do it both. Let's talk about fit a little bit. This is the replacement of like an in-strap buckle and that Z buckle design instead of what we were seeing with the dial in the Ridge boot. I really like it because it evens out the pressure across the top of the foot. It gives me a lot of support right where I need it, a lot of good heel lock. The boot comes in at 101 last in this size, which is about middle of the road, but it's always a little bit mysterious how they're measuring that. I find it to be much roomier. If I measure my foot, it measures about a 108 across the widest part of the foot, but in this 27.5, I have no issues accommodating fit. I also feel a lot of good vertical height. Like I can wiggle my toes up and down a little, but I'm still not getting any slop in the heel when I'm touring or I'm skiing. Really nice fit. I really think Dynafit nailed it. Should fit a lot of feet very well with little modifications. My final takes on the Blacklight, not my final. I hope to have a long season skiing it. This is going to be my go-to boot for anything but my very lightest tours. I do like touring in race boots sometimes with a 90 underfoot ski when I know it's going to be really good powder. I'm not being followed by any judgy friends or cameras. It's really nice to have a really, really light boot. But for anything else, this will be the go-to. If I was skiing in and out of the resort for the day, that's when I'm going to start reaching for a 4-buckle boot that's going to give a little bit more performance. The things I would like to see a little more is at 1,230, maybe 1,250 grams with a power strap in the 27. It's still not going to be as light as some of the boots that are pushing that 1,000-gram, 1 kilo boot that we're seeing kind of across the industry. The Hoji Lock, although they've been paring it down and doing a lot of great weight saving tips, it's still tough to make it as light as some of the competitors. But I think for what you're sacrificing in weight, you're going to definitely make up for in ski performance. The other things that I don't love to see is when we compare this to the Ridge boot, really it's just another configuration of buckles and a tongue. And we're seeing that across other brands. They're releasing many different flexes, they're releasing pros, they're releasing regulars, and it's just a lot of boots to manage. I wish that manufacturers would do a little bit more market research to find out what customers really need and not try to make every little buckle configuration for every user. Sometimes they're going to know more than us, but it seems like a lot of companies don't want to do the research and they're just happy to make 3 SKUs, being entire runs of boots. So it's a little hard for us as like consumers to like figure out which is the perfect boot for you. But again, if you're really into maximum stiffness, look at the Ridge Pro. I think if you're in for lightweight touring, easy use, 1 buckle, walk to ski mode, then I think the Blacklight is going to be a great boot for the upcoming season. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you out there.